Where can you get reliable information about the language industry? Coming up. Hello and welcome back to the Freelanceverse. Thanks so much for coming back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. So today's video is going to be about information, about resources, where you can get your information. Now chances are if you ended up on my channel, you're probably same as me, eager to learn new things about the profession. You like to find new resources where you can get a new perspective, a fresh perspective, etc. So I thought, why not share where I get my information about the language industry? I thought it could be nice for you guys to also, branch out a bit from this channel, because it's never good to get your information only from one source, right? So it's important that you know where you can go to get a fresh perspective on certain things. So I have my laptop here, and as you can see, I'm going to show screen recordings throughout the video. By the way, I have a bunch of links that I want to share with you guys. I don't know if I get through all of them, but certainly the most important ones I want to address. So let's start right away. In fact, before we get into the video, make sure to scroll down and like the video and subscribe to the channel. We are close to 4,000 subscribers. This was my goal to reach in July. So if you could make that a reality, it would mean a lot to me. So let's get into the video. So I really want to start off with podcasts, because podcast is where I personally get most of my information. In general, I'm very into podcasts, not only professional ones for me, but also entertainment ones, news ones. So I listen a lot, basically become my new reading, which I don't really like. I also like to read. But yeah, at the moment I'm very into podcasts. So I'm going to share the ones that I listen to professionally to kind of expand my knowledge about the translation industry. So first and foremost, that would be Tess Whitty's podcast, Marketing Tips for Translators. Tess Whitty in general is an awesome resource. She's a Swedish translator, very successful, very prominent. She wrote a couple books. She gives talks all the time in conferences. So you will definitely see her name when you start out in the industry and you kind of involve yourself in events. And her podcast is it's going very strong, as you can see, 275th episode already. And they're really amazing. Sometimes she has guests on, like here with Dorota Pavlak. They talked about website localization, for example. And sometimes it's just her alone giving her opinion. So can definitely recommend that. Of course, all the links are down in the description. You don't need to write everything down, just go down. I probably just put a document there with all the links in there so you have all in one place. One podcast that I recently found is Meet the Translator by Dot Roberts. It's also not so old yet, I think. Yeah, it started in November 2020 and very interesting. It's always interview based and I've listened all of them, I think. Yeah, I found this through her LinkedIn, so she's very active on promoting it on LinkedIn and she's doing amazingly marketing wise. So it really caught my eye and it's a very interesting listen. Can definitely recommend, especially the last one, audiovisual translation with Chloe Stout and Lisa D'Alfonso. If you're interested in subtitling and any kind of audiovisual stuff, it was an awesome listen. I really learned a lot. Next up is already a classic, I think. It's only 1 year old, I guess. When did it start? Yeah. Oh, yeah, just before the pandemic, or just at the beginning of the pandemic they started. It's the Probst.com podcast with Paul Urwin. Urwin? I hope I pronounced it correctly. I'm not sure which one it is. Anyways, really interesting, and they can have, of course, amazing guests on there because it's such a big name, Probst.com, right? So they really make use of that. I haven't listened all of them, but yeah, it's definitely one I come back to once in a while. And also because now through this YouTube channel and also through a couple of pros meetup, I got to know Paul, and he's a very engaging person. He does it very well, how he speaks. And the last podcast I want to mention is Translators on Air. I didn't find this one on Spotify. I don't know why. I always listen to it on the YouTube channel. I can definitely recommend it. It's from Dmitry Kornyukov and Elena Terechenkova. Sorry if I mispronounced that. And this is really more like a talk show rather than a podcast. I really like what they're doing. It's very engaging, it's funny, it's interactive, it's interesting. So definitely check this one out as well. All right, that was it for podcasts. Now let's move on to YouTube channels. Because I also have blog posts in here, but blog posts are honestly the one I read the least. So if I want information, I go to podcasts, to YouTube, or I just read books. So blog posts, I really don't read that much. I have 4 prepared that I go back to once in a while, but it's not so common. But I want to talk about YouTube videos. So let's start with, okay, mine. If you're already here, make sure to subscribe. As you know, I started this a bit less than a year ago, And I'm just making content for freelancers and freelance translators every Monday, once a week. And yeah, the reception has been great. So I hope the content is valuable to you. I try to make it interesting. I try to make it varied. I listen to you guys' feedback. So whenever someone asks me to make a video, I try to make it in the next 2 to 4 weeks at least. So I hope you like it. Make sure to come back next week for a new episode of the series Specialized. So that will be interesting. But enough self-promotion, let's move on. One YouTube channel that was a huge inspiration to start my own as well was Freelance Translator Tips. I'm sure you've seen it if you're active on YouTube about translators too. This channel comes up naturally. This is from Robert Gebhardt, I think is his name. He has a huge backlog on his channel, like it's extremely many videos, so it's amazing. You definitely find something that's for you. He's been doing this for years and very consistently, several times a week, so it's really impressive. I really like his content. It's to the point, it's no BS, it's just, you know, he has a topic, he announces in the beginning of the video and then he explains it. He also has a couple of courses and books. If you're interested, you can just check out his name online and you will find it. Next up, what I like to mention is the YouTube channel Sarah Moon, formerly known as Sarah K, I guess. For me, she's known as Sarah K because that's what she used to be called when she did still kind of like translation related content. Now she shifted her content more to anime, Japanese skits and related videos. That's what she specializes in translation as well. She's a Japanese game translator, anime translator, I think. So yeah, now that the content is not really for me anymore, I'm not following it that much, but of course she has a huge backlog and you will find a lot of translation related videos from, you know, 1 year ago, anime translator answers your question, etc. All these videos then are about translation. So very interesting resources, definitely. And also she's very funny, very engaging and just a cool person to follow. I really like to see how successful she got on YouTube. Amazing for her. And of course, then there are a bunch of just freelancers and digital nomad YouTube channels. There are endless ones, but you really need to find the one that works best for you. For me, this is Chris the Freelancer. He's, yeah, again, there is no like bullshit and just, it's very practical, very engaging, very useful content. He talks a lot about places where you can go to work from there. He talks about practical things like taxes, like social security, etc. I really like this channel, not only for professional, but also for personal reasons. Great, that was the YouTube section. Now let's move on to the reading part, to the blogs. So the first one I want to mention is Slator. Slator is not really a blog, I guess. I don't know, can you call it a blog? It's more like an online magazine, online journal, but still it reads like a blog. I really follow this very much. A super interesting page. It's founded by Florian Faes, or I think co-founded. Yeah, he's a Swiss guy and a really interesting person, linguist, author, business developer, and it's a very industry-specific website. So whenever something in the language industry or localization industry happens, you will find it out here first. So it's really cool because you get to know the names, the big players in the game. You just feel more involved. You know, it's not like you're only working here in your own office and you don't really know what's happening on the big picture. For me, this is super interesting stuff. Language industry market report, for example, this is something I haven't seen this yet. It's 1 month ago. I will definitely check this out. So make sure to follow Slator everywhere, not only the website, but also Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, everywhere. Super interesting information. Next up, a very translation specific blog I really like. It's from Nikki Graham. Maybe I can show you a picture of her on the website. Let me see. She's an English translator. Oh yeah, that's her. That's Nikki. She's as you can see, she's a British national and lives in the tourist town of Bournemouth. Yeah, I really enjoy her blog. It's very witty, very creative. If you go here on My Word for a Change, there are all the blog entries. Super interesting. And she actually has a blog post that's very relevant to this video. Yeah, this one exactly. Podcasts and YouTube channels from the localization industry. And then you have an endless list of very interesting topics. So if this is not enough for you, where I get my information from, just click this link and all of the other ones, even in other languages, are here. Unfortunately, the Freelanceverse is not on it yet, so hopefully we can change that. There is a spot here for Freelanceverse. And the last one I want to mention is called the Freelancers Union. This one I don't follow like on a weekly or regular basis. Here I just come back to when I really need specific information because it's very practical. As you can see, first one, 6 ways to get paid faster, important. 10 steps to more successful freelance negotiations, very important. 3 ways to start an emergency savings fund, for me, really cool. what it said, it's the Freelancers Union, right? If you have a problem at work, just come here and they will fix it. You can also contact them and they are very happy to help. There's a community tab, a freelancers hub, where you can interact with people, meetups. It's mostly for the American viewers. You can go to meetups. Super interesting page, definitely check it out. So that was the blogs that I follow on a regular basis. And now the last point I want to make is kind of language influencers, if you can call them like this. Actually you can, because Nimdzi, let me check this link quick. Yeah, it was this one, right? It's the Nimdzi localization influencers watchlist. So all the most influential people in the localization industry are on this list. So let me just get the list. Where is it? There it is. And you can see the social media reach here in this column. So if it's 10, that's very good, of course, and some are over 15 even. So these are very interesting. Oh, there's Florian Faes as well from Slator. Gabriel Fairman, 31 social media value. So unfortunately, it's only based on LinkedIn, Twitter, and personal blogs. So YouTube is not included. So yeah, we probably won't make it ever on this list, unfortunately, if they don't include YouTube. But it's a great list. I really like it. And one of my colleagues, actually, Martina Russo, she's on here. She's you can see her here, Martina Russo from Moving Words Translation. She's a translator into Italian and Swiss Italian, and she really started a LinkedIn push, and her content is amazing, and she's doing very well marketing wise. So she's definitely an excellent role model to take in terms of how to market yourself as a freelancer. Natalie Lecca is another very interesting person to follow. So is Tess Whitty, I think, yeah. Tess Whitty and Uwe Mügge from Facebook also. He has by far the highest score, 43. His name you will just see come up in the language industry all the time. He's everywhere, and he's the head of terminology at Facebook. Very interesting person to know and to follow. Also Maria Scheibengraf, where is she? Here. I love her LinkedIn as well. It's so engaging and interactive. Definitely check her out as well. And last but not least, Andrew Morris, and as I already said, Paul Urwin both from Probst. Very good people to know as well, because of course they have a big reach to a big global player as Probst.com is. And if you know them, if you follow them, you get to know the first thing about the meetups from Probst, the first about the news, etc. And a lot of interaction also on Facebook, especially from Andrew. So you just stay in the loop. You never miss anything that's happening in this space. Especially if you pay for pros, it's definitely good to follow these two guys. There you go, that's it. Of course, that's a lot of information for everyone, and of course you can't read and follow and listen to everyone, but just maybe check them out. These are the ones that I like to come back to and get my information from, or maybe some of them are also for you. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments if you want to follow one of these people, or if you have another very interesting resource for the other viewers. Thanks so much for watching. I see you next Monday with the next episode of Specialized. See you then. Bye bye.